Hey friends, and welcome back to another Abridged gameplay video. This game is a special one, being one of the two games that we played during a Commander Clash live stream, where the usual crew of me, Seth, and Richard were joined by the MTG Goldfish artist Adriano. For this game, I busted out my budget Gargos Vicious Watcher deck. This version completely ignores any janky Hydra themes and instead focuses on Gargos' far more powerful second ability that has our massive 8/7 commander fight opposing creatures whenever a creature we control becomes a target of a spell. Our deck is loaded with cheap ways to trigger Gargos' fight ability so we can constantly nom our opponent's creatures while killing them with our huge commander. It's basically a mono green control deck that also happens to kill our opponents very quickly. I've terrorized the Commander Clash crew with this deck before, so we'll see if we can repeat our success in this game. Our first opponent is Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, running Bell Borca Spectral Sergeant. Borca is an interesting Boros commander that not only generates card advantage each turn, but also cares about stuff getting exiled, growing in power based on the highest mana value of whatever gets exiled. I assume Seth picked this deck so he can durdle in colors not known for durdling. Next up, we've got Richard running the partners Isior, Wardwing Familiar, and Radiant Sarah Archangel. This is not just a Bird Tribal deck, but a Richard version of Bird Tribal, so it's as janky as possible. In fact, Radiant was actually supposed to be the Prismatic Piper, but it's not available on Magic Online, so Richard had to upgrade that commander. So you know just how janky this deck is meant to be. Our final opponent, Adriano, is running Demon Lord Belzenlog. Belzenlog is a massive card draw engine in decks full of non-land permanents with mana values of 4 or greater. I've seen it built as a janky Demon Tribal deck or as an all-in combo deck, so we'll see which direction Adriano takes it. Now, before we hop into the game, we have to shout out our sponsor, Card Kingdom. If you like these videos and want to support the channel, then use the affiliate link in the video description to head on over to cardkingdom.com and purchase all your Magic the Gathering needs, including the decks that we're playing in this video. Jumping into the game, we keep a subpar hand with 3 lands, no ramp, and nothing notable to cast, but I didn't want to get greedy and mulligan it since we had a string of bad mulligans in the previous game. Everyone plays their first lands and Seth casts Bag of Holding, a great card when paired with Red's looting effects, and synergizes well with his commander. Richard casts one of his best birds, Augury Owl, scrying 3. Adriano swamp cycles Twisted Abomination. Our hand continues to be bad as we keep drawing force and passing. Seth casts Talisman of Conviction for some ramp. Richard misses a land drop but sort of makes up for it with his signature card, Dowsing Dagger, and hits Seth for 1 with the owl. We draw another forest and continue to do nothing. Seth continues to ramp, casting Mind Stone. He's scared of the Dowsing Dagger flipping and asks us and chat if he should remove it. Chat votes to save the dagger so it doesn't get blown up. Richard then equips the dagger to the owl and hits Adriano since he voted to destroy it. Then he casts Stormscape Familiar and the Raven's Warning, making a 1/1 bird token and gaining 2 life, and setting up to draw 3 cards from its second chapter next turn. Adriano casts Cryptghast, doubling his mana. We draw yet another land and cast Harmonize to draw 3 cards, finally finding some action for the next turn. We discard back down to hand size, binning 2 lands. With Richard about to draw 3 cards next turn with his Saga, Seth springs to action, casting Wrath of God to wipe the board of creatures. Oh man, oh that Saga's gonna hurt. That Saga's
my birds. Okay, wait, can someone exile?
Bird King. F's in the chat. F's in the chat.
You were gonna draw 3, and I did let you get your Lotus Veil.
You were going to draw
the point.
3.
you just like 8 for 1 to me or something here.
That was actually really. You also got rid of the crypt.
Seth is so mean, guys.
Denied card draw. Richard soldiers on ahead by casting more birds. He first casts Fledgling Osprey, which I think is probably the worst bird creature ever printed, and then casts Migratory Route to make 4 more bird tokens. Adriano casts Dark Bargain, putting 2 cards into his hand and 1 into his graveyard. We cast Orin Viper and Scavenging Ooze, finally putting stuff on board. Our slow start is kind of working in our favor now since we dodged the Wrath of God, and now we should be able to start getting ahead. On end step, Seth activates Bag of Holding to loot and draws something interesting.
Hey, I can read
Wait.
chat, Seth.
Oh,
Yeah, I can look at you. What are you? Of course I'm looking at you.
I didn't want to ask
Get
him
out
so
of
he
here.
could hear me.
Look at this.
Do it.
I was trying
Do
to be
it.
all sneaky.
Do it. Do it.
Hit me with it. Do it, you bird hater.
I love that he typed that in stream. We're all
I was trying
reading
to be
it.
stealthy.
Seth casts Stolen Strategy, looking to start stealing cards from the top of her libraries. Richard casts Sage Owl, rearranging the top of his library, then casts Coast Watcher so he can block our creatures for days thanks to protection from green, and finishes by casting Isior Wardwing Familiar. Then he swings the bird tokens at Seth and the fledgling Osprey at me.
Oh wait, I'm an idiot. This was a fly.
What?
That's why I didn't get any auras.
I didn't block it, it's fine. See, we're friends.
Wow. The disrespect. I forgot the baby doesn't fly yet.
I don't kill bad cards. It's okay. I forget to block the non-flying bird, but it's only 1 damage, so it shouldn't matter, right? Adriano casts Besiege the Queen, but I forgot to look at what he tutored. Then he casts Gorgon Recluse. I cast Warrior's Lesson, targeting our 2 creatures, and hit Seth with them for 3 damage, drawing 3 cards in the process. Then I cast Gaia's Touch, activating it to play an extra forest for our turn. End step, Seth loots with Bag of Holding. Seth then exiles the top card of each opponent's library with Stolen Strategy, casts Bell Borca, and enchants it with the Stolen Curiosity. Richard casts Radiance, Sarah Archangel, and swings everything at Seth.
Okay.
So are you just gonna take that?
Oh, I could have. I forgot.
Oh, it's
the
striking
Osprey.
again
with the Osprey, he didn't block.
We got there. It's the Osprey.
Man, this
We
Osprey
got there.
This Osprey is really.
You thought it would flew. It does not. It's
seems
just
like
a bird.
It seems like it should
This
have
Osprey
flying.
is actually insane.
It's a.
Adriano casts Magus of the Coffers, quietly ramping in his corner. End step, I cast Once and Future with Adamant, getting back a Forest and Warrior's Lesson. We cast Warrior's Lesson on our 2 creatures and swing at Seth again, drawing forests. Then we play an extra land with Gaia's Touch and cast Kogla, the Titan Ape, which kills the Magus of the Coffers. End step, Seth loots with the bag, and then on his upkeep, he exiles an Arcane Signet with Borca, then exiles a Healer's Hawk with Stolen Strategy. Then I agree to let Seth hit me with Borca to draw a card, and then he casts Arcane Signet and the Healer's Hawk. Richard swings everything at Seth again, probably retribution for that earlier board wipe, trying to finish him off. Seth responds by casting Restoration Angel to ambush the birds.
It's okay. We have enough
Reverse
birds.
bank
Sometimes they
cards,
get eaten by random predators in the sky.
I know it's
How
not
dare
correct,
you,
but I'm
Sam.
gonna kill this Osprey.
How
I played
dare you,
Houston
Seth?
Archives? Houston Archives.
I got to. I have to. It's dealt
How-
them more damage than any creature on the battlefield.
How
I think to
dare
this point of the
you.
game.
Whoa, I don't
Bird
know how I feel
on
about
bird
the Osprey.
combat. Not even using the angel.
It's gotta go. It's too good.
That's brutal. Then Richard casts Isior and casts Limited All-Star Courier Hawk. Suddenly, all the attention goes to Adriana when he plays Glacial Chasm, which makes him immune to damage. Then he immediately casts Demon Lord Belzenlock, revealing his game plan. All the non-land cards in his deck are converted mana cost 4 or greater, so Belzenlock draws his entire deck with its trigger, and Glacial Chasm prevents him from taking damage while doing this. He then casts Deepwood Legate for free, casts Unmask on himself to discard Phantasmagorian, then activates Phantasmagorian's ability to discard 3 more cards and return it to his hand, discarding Dread Return, Scourge Familiar, and Haunted Dead. Since he has 3 creatures on the battlefield, this would let him flashback Dread Return from his graveyard to get back the Scourge Familiar he just discarded, which would then let him generate all the mana he needs to win the game. But unfortunately for Adriano, he forgot about one tiny detail, my Scavenging Ooze. I activate the Ooze in response and exile Dread Return, fizzling the combo. With Adriano's library empty and him dead on his draw step, he decides to go out on his own terms, cycling Street Wraith to kill himself. Now that Adriano took care of himself, I decide it's a good time to start wrapping up the game. Since Richard has 0 cards in hand and is playing a pile of Jank, I decide to end Seth. I cast End Race Forerunners, pumping my board, and swing a lethal amount at Seth. Now our only opponent, Richard, is in full top deck mode against our superior board state. Surely there's nothing that can save him now, or is there?
Alright, here we go.
Yeah, off the top.
This better not be a bad bird.
There's no such thing as
Here we go.
birds.
So you mean a bird?
What's going on? Am I dead? This is...
Oh, you ready for this?
What?
You ready? I can't kill you, I don't think, but this is hilarious.
No. Is this a big hit? Oh,
Oh.
my god! Off the top!
He's got 0 cards. What you see is what you get.
Dice! Oh
All right.
my. Richard hits a distant melody off the top, which he immediately casts, instantly refilling his hand with 8 cards. Then he casts Staggering Insight Enchanting Radiant, then swings most of his army at us, gaining 7 life and drawing a card while we watch helplessly. Then he casts Artificer's Assistant and Kanji's Lieutenant, and we nom-nom some of his graveyard with the Ooze. On our turn, I cast Gargos and Wild Defiance, then swing everything at Richard, blowing up the Insight with Kogla and drawing a card off the Viper. Then we cast Season of Growth. Our Gargos engine is now online, so there's still a chance we can win this. Richard casts Dovin, Grand Arbiter, scrying with the Assistant. Then he casts Rogue's Gloves, scrying again, and +1's Dovin, setting up to gain a ton of loyalty counters when he attacks. Before he can attack though, we cast Ranger's Guile on Gargos, drawing a card off Season of Growth and killing the Lieutenant with Gargos before he can attack and pump up the army. Then, since Richard is gloating that he scryed a game-winning card on top of his library, I cast Nature's Claim to destroy Rogue's Gloves and prevent him from drawing it, though unfortunately giving him 4 life in the process. Then the birds put us down to 12 and Richard casts Keeper of the 9 Gales. Our hand isn't good enough to finish Richard, but we have one more out, Vines of Vastwood. We casted Kicked, targeting Gargos, pumping him while killing Keeper and praying that the card we draw is good enough. Unfortunately for us though, it's just another forest. We make Gargos unblockable with Rogue's Passage and swing everything at Richard, hoping he blocks incorrectly, but unfortunately he's not a bad player and correctly blocks the Ooze, surviving at 1 life. We draw 1 more card off the Viper, but it's yet another forest. Unlucky. With us out of answers, we pass back to Richard, who promptly swings for lethal and kills us. Now that was a wild game. Everyone got to do their thing, and there was a ton of swingy plays that kept things interesting. It was cool seeing Adriano's Bells and Lock pull off its combo, even if it ultimately fizzled. Seth's Borka list did a great job of playing Boros Control, drawing a serious amount of cards, and if he didn't tick off Richard with that board wipe, he probably would have lived long enough to take over the game. And of course, Richard had a great showing of janky Bird Tribal. Fledgling Osprey definitely overperformed, and I have a newfound respect for the card. As for our deck, you kind of got to see what it wants to do near the end there, which is constantly removing creatures with Gargos while beating down. Unfortunately, we had an awkward draw this game, especially with all the land flood, but even then it was still very close. Also, while the Nature's Claim was questionable that game, since it looked like it killed me, Richard revealed that he scryed Dust to Dawn on top of his library, and was going to draw it and cast it with Rose Gloves, which would have destroyed our board and made his victory all but assured. So it actually was the correct play in hindsight, though I'm not even sure if it was correct to do in the moment. I probably should have blocked that Osprey when I had the chance though. And that's it for this abridged gameplay video. If you want to catch these games live, then I stream here each week Wednesdays and Fridays at 6 PM Eastern Time. I hope you enjoyed, and until next time friends, see ya!